Good morning, students. Hello, friends. Welcome to Ashoka Online Academy. In the Ashoka Online Academy, we are teaching the science and technology. We are teaching the science and technology for Telangana State Public Service Commission Group 1 Mains 50 marks paper in English medium. So already I have did two videos on how to prepare for the science and technology. I explained the syllabus in detail. Then yesterday I have kept a video, a sample video about the introduction to space technology and the working of rocket and also the working of the jet plane. Yesterday we have seen these topics very clearly. Yesterday we have understood what is space technology, how we discuss the concepts related to the space technology. Then what are the applications of space technology? Then I discussed about the launch vehicles or the satellite launch vehicle or the rockets, how they will work. They will have a fuel, they will have different stages, they will consist of oxidizer, and oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. When the fuel is burned, huge amount of gases will be coming out of this particular nozzle or the exit part of the rocket or launch vehicle that generates huge amount of action on the earth's surface, and because of that the reaction, that is the rocket will lift up to the space. Yesterday I have discussed that in the video. Please watch that video, introduction to space technologies. What the space technologies topic comprises of theoretical part, application part. In the application part, achievements of ISRO, and in the application part, achievements of the international space missions. Then after that I discussed about rocket, Newton's third law governing the principle of working of a rocket, and the jet plane, how the rocket is different from jet plane. What are the applications of rocket to launch the satellites into low Earth orbit or middle Earth orbit or to the geostationary Earth orbit? Now today what we will do is that as part of science and technology, space technology topic. So this science and technology topics, they are discussed for Telangana State Public Service Commission Group 1 Mains Exam 50 marks paper. Understand that in English medium. So yesterday as part of space technologies, so follow this. We have discussed about the rocket, we have discussed about the the jet plane. Everything is fine. I said that the rocket carries its own fuel, the rocket carries its own fuel, and also it carry its own oxidizer with it, in different stages. So rocket will have different stages: first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. In every stage, for example, this is PSLV rocket. In every stage, we have the fuel and the oxidizer. Oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. When the fuel is burned, simply the gases will be coming out, and because of that, huge amount of thrust or forward push is generated on the rocket. So this is the action part, and the reaction is simply the rocket will going up. Understand that very clearly. So the rockets, they work on the principle of the Newton's third law. For every action there will be equal and opposite reaction. Here the action is releasing of gases from the nozzle or exit part of the rocket, and the reaction is rocket moving up. So that is how the Newton's third law is working on this particular the rocket. Now I told you about the jet plane. So the jet plane also same principle. But the thing is that the jet plane consists of only the fuel. It do not take any oxidizer with it to burn this particular fuel. Why? Because the jet plane takes the oxygen from the atmosphere and utilize it as an oxidizer to burn the fuel in the jet plane and move forward horizontally. Same technique, same Newton third law is applied here in the rocket and the jet plane. Explain the difference also. Just watch the previous video, Introduction to Space Technology, you will understand that. Now everything is good. Okay, I told how rocket is working, how jet plane is working, Newton's third law, all those things. Now today what we do is that, what is the fuel that is used in the rockets? What is the fuel that is used in the rockets? Okay, understand this very clearly. Fuel. What type of fuel you are using in the rockets? You can use solid fuel, you can use liquid fuel, you can use the cryogenic fuels. In the cryogenic engine. Those three types of fuels are there which are powering the launch vehicles, or what you call this particular the rockets. For example, so see here. For example, just watch here, you will understand. India is using the PSLV rocket. PSLV rocket is having the four stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. In stage 1 it is using the solid fuel. In stage 2 it is using the liquid fuel. In stage 3 it is using the solid fuel. Again in stage 4 it is using the liquid fuel. Why this combination of fuels are used in the PSLV? What type of solid fuels are used? What type of liquid fuels are used? What is the advantage of solid fuel? What is the disadvantage of solid fuel in the rockets? What is the liquid fuel that is used by ISRO in PSLV? What are the advantages with liquid fuel? What are the disadvantages with the liquid fuel? What are the limitations of both the solid and liquid fuel? And why we went for the cryogenic engine in the GSLV? Why we went for the cryogenic engine in the GSLV? So this is GSLV, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle of ISRO, comprising of three stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. In stage 1 they are using solid fuel. In stage 2 they are using liquid fuel. In stage 3 they are using the cryogenic engine. What is this cryogenic engine? What are cryogenic fuels? Why the GSLV is more advanced than the PSLV? What is a cryogenic engine? How it will work? How India got the cryogenic engine? Who gave to India the cryogenic engine technology? When did the cryogenic engine was first used by the ISRO? Which countries right now has the cryogenic engine technology? Which country is the first country in the world to produce the cryogenic engines to be used in the launch vehicles? So all these facts we will try to understand them very clearly. Today our topic is very simple. The agenda of the today class is very simple, discussing about the types of fuels that are used in this particular rocket or launch vehicles, solid fuel, liquid fuel, and also discussing about the cryogenic engine. First of all, what is cryogenic? What is the meaning of the word cryogenic? What type of chemicals are used in the cryogenic engine? All these things we will understand without going into the engineering or technical aspects. We will try to understand the application aspects in a simple and effective manner. Understand that very clearly. I think you got the concept. Slowly we are proceeding. Understand that very clearly. So let me start the topic. Types of fuels used in the rocket. This is the topic. Types of fuels that are used in the rocket or launch vehicle. Just now I introduced to you. PSLV 4 stages: solid, liquid, solid, liquid. GSLV 3 stages: solid, liquid, cryogenic. So these are what are the types of fuels used in rocket? First of all, what is a fuel? First of all, what is an oxidizer? Understand this. Why and what is the what is the advantage of oxidizer? What is the utilization of oxidizer? Understand this very clearly. So let us understand these things very clearly. Very, very important. Very difficult to get all these facts in a textbook. Kindly follow them clearly. Okay, so see here, first of all we will understand the word propellant. So what is this particular propellant? Very simple. See here, just now I told you rocket is there. Rocket is having different stages. For example, take PSLV. So solid fuel, liquid fuel, solid fuel, liquid fuel. So what is this? This stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. In every stage, in every stage, understand this very clearly. In every stage you have two things. In every stage you have two things. First is called as fuel chamber. Second is called as oxidizer chamber. First is called as fuel chamber, second is called as oxidizer chamber. In every stage, for example, take the stage 4. Here also you have the two subdivisions, fuel chamber and oxidizer chamber. So understand this very clearly. The oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. The oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. Understand this. The oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. Now this fuel and oxidizer together you call it as propellant. Understand this very clearly. The fuel and oxidizer together is called as the propellant. The propellant is used to what you call generate the forward push in the launch vehicle or rocket. So see here, propellant is a chemical mixture burned to produce thrust. So what is the thrust? Thrust means the forward push that is given to the launch vehicle. It is a mixture, chemical mixture burned to produce the thrust or forward push in rockets. What is a propellant? Propellant is a combination of fuel and oxidizer within the launch vehicle. The propellant is burnt, that means the fuel is burnt with the help of oxidizer, and that generates the forward push or the thrust in the rocket. So because of that, the rocket will be moving up based on the principle of the Newton's third law. Okay, understand this very clearly. Now, a rocket propellant consists of a fuel and an oxidizer. Just now I told you, in every stage of a rocket, you have the two chambers, fuel and oxidizer. Together you call it as propellant. A rocket propellant or a launch vehicle propellant consists of a fuel and oxidizer. First of all, what is a fuel? Fuel is a substance, chemical substance, okay, that burns when combined with oxygen, producing the gases for propulsion of rocket. So understand this very clearly. Fuel is the substance that is burned in the presence of oxygen or oxidizer, producing gas. This is gas, and because of this gas, why this gas? For propulsion of the rocket. Understand this very clearly. It is a substance, chemical substance that burns when combined with oxygen or oxidizer, producing gas for propulsion of the rocket. Understand that very clearly. Okay. Now see here. An oxidizer is a chemical agent or a chemical substance that releases oxygen for combustion with a fuel. So understand this very clearly. Fuel is a chemical substance used for the propulsion of the rocket. That fuel is ignited with the help of oxidizer. So what is an oxidizer? It is a chemical agent which releases oxygen. That oxygen will ignite the fuel, and the fuel will burn and rocket will be propelled. Understand that very clearly. Oxidizer is a chemical agent that releases oxygen for combustion of fuel. Okay. Now see here. Now just understand, an oxidizer helps in burning the fuel. Just now I told you, oxidizer is useful to burn the fuel or ignite the fuel. Understand that very clearly. Okay. For example, India in PSLV rockets, it is using the solid, it is having the solid and liquid stage, right? Solid stage and liquid stage, right? Within this solid stage and liquid stage, within that particular propellant, fuel is solid fuel, oxidizer is nitrogen tetraoxide, N2O4. Nitrogen tetraoxide is used by ISRO in the solid stage of PSLV rocket and in the liquid stage of the PSLV rocket. Not only that, it is using the oxidizer within the what you call solid stage of GSLV and liquid stage of the GSLV, liquid stage of the GSLV. This is cryogenic stage. Understand this very clearly. Okay, so oxidizer helps in burning the fuel. Nitrogen tetroxide is used by ISRO. So see here it is oxygen is there, nitrogen tetroxide. Oxygen is used to burn the fuel. Just now, yesterday also I told you, if you want to lit a candle, how the candle is burning? The candle is burning because of the presence of oxygen in this particular place. Now imagine you go into a vacuum area where there is no air. You just go and try to lit the candle. It will not lit. Why? Because there is no oxygen. Oxygen is required to burn the fuel. So here the oxidizer helps the rocket or the launch vehicle to burn the fuel. Now, why oxidizer is required for the launch vehicle? Why? Because the rocket launch vehicle will go to the outer space. That means it will go beyond the Earth's atmosphere. That means it goes into the place where there is vacuum. There is no air or no oxygen or no other gases. So obviously it has to carry its own oxidizer with it to burn the fuel or ignite the fuel, so that the what you call gases are released, okay, and the thrust is generated and simply the rocket will go up. This is how it is. Now understand, this is the explanation part. This can be explained in a very simple manner. So see here, so just now I told you, rocket having different stages. Each stage will have two things. One is fuel, second is oxidizer. What is the fuel? Fuel is a chemical substance. Oxidizer, it is also a chemical substance releasing the oxygen. Why oxidizer is required? To burn the fuel. Why burn the fuel? If you burn the fuel, then only gases will be coming out, and that generates the forward, okay, it gives the forward push, okay, to this particular rocket, and that is the action part, and reaction is the rocket will move up. Why it is carrying oxidizer? Why? Because it will go beyond the atmosphere where there are no gases. Understand that very clearly. Now compare it with the jet plane. So see here, jet plane. If you see the jet plane, okay, jet plane also they will release huge amount of gases from the back part. So see here, okay, the jet plane, it does not take the oxidizer with it. It takes only the fuel. It has only the fuel tank, and the fuel tank is filled with the fuel. It does not take any oxidizer. Why? Why? Because the jet planes are present, or they will move in the Earth's atmosphere itself. They take the oxygen from the what you call the atmosphere, and they use the oxygen to burn this fuel, and when they burn the fuel, the gases will be coming out and the jet plane will be moving horizontally. That is the idea here. So very simple, this is how it is. Propellant is a mixture of both the fuel and oxidizer. Fuel, okay, is substance which is burned when combined with oxygen, producing gases for propulsion of rocket. Oxidizer is a chemical agent that releases oxygen for combustion. This is not combination, this is combustion of fuel. Okay, sorry for that mistake. An oxidizer, so see here, it is a chemical agent. ISRO is using the nitrogen tetroxide, okay, in the solid and liquid stages. Why nitrogen tetroxide? Why? Because it has oxygen. Oxygen will ignite the fuel, solid fuel or liquid fuel, and that it will burn and it will go up. Now let us understand the things here. Propellants are the rocket fuels. Okay, understand this, are classified according to their state. They may be liquid fuels, they may be solid fuels, they may be hybrid fuels. Understand this very clearly. Okay, now see here, this is the important part. That means simply remember, the propellants will be of different types, 3 types: solid, liquid, hybrid. Understand that very clearly. Okay, now simple example. Okay, so see here. Now what is the specific impulse? Yesterday I told you, specific impulse is measured in seconds. Okay, it is used to measure the efficiency of rocket propellants. That means what? You have solid fuels, you have liquid fuels, you have hybrid fuels. If somebody asks which is the best fuel, that means which fuel is more efficient when it comes to taking the rocket to greater heights. Okay, if somebody asks like that, how you will come to a conclusion? The specific impulse tells you, okay, which is the best rocket fuel out of the solid, liquid and hybrid. So specific impulse, it is just measured in seconds. It is used to measure the efficiency of rocket propellant, that is which is the best rocket propellant, solid, liquid or hybrid, which one is the best. Okay, so understand this, that is measured using what is called as the specific impulse. So first of all, what is the specific impulse? Specific impulse indicates how many kilograms of thrust is obtained by consumption of kilogram of propellant in 1 second. So what is this? So you have a rocket, specific impulse of the it is totally filled with the solid fuel. Totally filled with the solid fuel. Specific impulse indicates how many kgs of thrust. How many kgs of thrust? That means the forward push. That means the forward push is generated in the rocket or the launch vehicle when 1 kilogram of propellant is burned in 1 second. Okay, understand this very clearly. Solid fuel is there. Okay, imagine it is 100 kgs of solid fuel. This 100 kg of solid fuel, okay, out of this 10 kg is burnt in 1 second. 1 second. Okay, and because of that, how much amount of forward push or thrust is generated, okay, so that the rocket will go up. Specific impulse indicates how many kilograms of thrust, that is the forward push, is obtained by consumption of kilogram of propellant in 1 second. For example, see here. So I told you specific impulse is measured in seconds, right? Okay, so see here. The specific impulse for solid and liquid fuels is 300 seconds. Okay, so this is somewhat technical. Understand this very clearly. That means if you compare it with the cryogenic engines, specific impulse for cryogenic engines is 450 seconds. That means you can simply say that cryogenic engines are more powerful compared to the solid and liquid fuel based rockets or launch vehicles. So understand this very clearly. Here you need to remember only one thing, that is this specific impulse is used to measure the efficiency of the rocket fuels. Understand that. What is specific impulse? Specific impulse means the amount of thrust that is obtained by consumption of kilograms of fuel in 1 second. So that's why the specific impulse is measured in second. If you take the fuels, okay, solid and liquid fuels in the rocket launch vehicles, the specific impulse is 300 seconds. Understand that very clearly. And specific impulse for cryogenic engine is 450 seconds. That means more than the solid and liquid fuel based launch vehicles. So obviously the cryogenic engine is much more powerful. Understand this very clearly. So see here. Now just observe this 11th point. With every 1 second increase in the specific impulse, okay, so see here 300 seconds for a solid and liquid fuel based launch vehicles, 450 seconds for cryogenic engine based launch vehicles. For every 1 second increase, that means just 301 second, 302 second, if it is increasing specific impulse, the payload gain is of the order of 15 kgs. For example, 300 seconds, the launch vehicle is able to launch the satellite of maximum weight 100 kg. Imagine that. But if the specific impulse increases by 301 second, just 1 second, that means the satellite, the launch vehicle capacity to take, has the capacity to take extra 15 kgs into the orbit. Understand that very clearly. Now, let me tell you one thing very clearly. In the mains exam paper, you have to write these things. Okay, at least you have to write that there are 3 types of propellants used in the launch vehicles: solid, liquid, hybrid. Example, hybrid is cryogenic engines in India. The efficiency of this particular launch vehicles or the type fuels used in the launch vehicles is measured using a unit called as specific impulse. What is specific impulse? It is measured in seconds. It is used to measure the efficiency of rocket propellants. Okay, then it indicates how many kilograms of thrust or forward push is obtained by consumption of kilogram of propellant in 1 second. If you write this much, that is more than enough. And you can write some facts like, for example, specific impulse of solid and liquid fuel is 300 seconds. Specific impulse of cryogenic engine is 450 seconds. If specific impulse increased by just 1 second, the launch vehicle has the more capacity to take extra 15 kgs to the what you call more height. Okay, understand this very clearly. Then what is the advantage with this particular all this calculations specific impulse? More is the specific impulse of the rocket launch vehicle. It can carry more weight to the greater heights. For example, if you want to launch the communication satellite, where you will keep the communication satellite, you have to keep it in the geostationary Earth orbit at a height of 36,000 km from the equator of the planet Earth. So to take the satellite to that height of 36,000 km from the equator, you require the fuel generating or having more specific impulse. Understand that very clearly. Specific impulse for solid fuels rocket, liquid fuels rocket is 300 seconds. Whereas the specific impulse for cryogenic engine rockets is 450 seconds. With 1 second improvement in the specific impulse, the launch vehicle can carry extra 15 kgs weight. Understand that very clearly. Okay, are you getting the things? So this is how it is. If you want to launch the communication satellites, you require 36,000 km height from the equator. You have to place these satellites in the geostationary Earth orbit. For this, definitely you require the cryogenic engines in the launch vehicles. Why? Because they have more specific impulse compared to the solid fuel launch vehicles, liquid fuel launch vehicles, 450 seconds. That is how it is. Understand this very clearly. Okay. So I see here, I don't think that a lot of information is discussed. No, you have to know these things. Why? Because you are writing the group 1 examination, where in future you will be becoming the district collectors, DSPs. Okay, there you need to have all this knowledge. So understand this very clearly. First of all, we will discuss about types of fuels. In that we discuss about solid fuel. What is the solid fuel used by ISRO? What are the advantages with the solid fuel? What are the disadvantages with the solid fuel? Then we discuss about the liquid fuel. What is the liquid fuel used by ISRO? What are the advantages with liquid fuel, disadvantages with liquid fuel? So let us start the solid fuel, okay, that is used by ISRO in the rockets or launch vehicles. First of all, let me tell where the solid fuel is used by ISRO. First thing is that ISRO earlier used to have SLV, Space Launch Vehicle or Satellite Launch Vehicle, SLV. The SLV is a four-stage S1, S2, S3, S4, four-stage rocket or launch vehicle. All the four stages using the solid fuel. Here they will use. Here they have already used. What is the solid fuel used by ISRO? Aluminium powder mixed with hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene, also called as HTPB, hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene mixed with aluminium powder is the solid fuel used by ISRO in the SLV. Already they have used it. Then ISRO has the rocket called as ASLV. So what is this ASLV? Augmented Satellite Launch Vehicle. 5 stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. All of these stages using the solid fuel. What is that? Aluminium powder mixed with hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. Okay, then third one. Right now ISRO is using the PSLV, which is having 4 stages, solid, liquid fuels. So in this solid fuel also they are using hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene mixed with the aluminum powder. Then ISRO is right now, this is PSLV. ISRO is right now also having the GSLV, right? So solid, okay, liquid fuel, cryogenic engine. So in the solid phase or the solid fuel phase, it is using the aluminum powder mixed with hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. So what are the advantages? What are the advantages with this particular solid fuel? Understand this very clearly. So see here, what are the advantages? Solid fuels are easy to handle. Simply, okay, you can take them easily. They are easy to handle. How they are easy to handle? Aluminum powder. Just it is a powder. You pack it in a tank or a box. You just take it. There is no leakage. Okay, there is no problem of corrosion. Okay, that is easy to handle. Now, solid fuel is non-corrosive. Non-corrosive means what? Because of whenever the solid fuel is exposed to oxygen, it will not corrode. Okay, so that is the non-corrosive. Understand that very clearly. For example, if you keep the iron in the open place, what will happen after few days? It will begin to corrode, right? Okay, so that is how it is. Okay, non-corrosive. For example, if you take this particular flask, this is non-corrosive. Understand this very clearly. Okay. So how solid fuel is non-corrosive and it is quite stable. It is quite stable. That means it will be in a, you pack it, you keep it at a particular place, you load it into the satellite launch vehicle, it will be stable like that. There is no problem of leakage. Understand that very clearly. It will be stable, it is non-corrosive, Telugulo tuppu vattadu antaru kada, non-corrosive and easy to handle. You can just fill it in the box, take it there and again fill it in the rocket. Easy to handle. But what are the disadvantages with the solid fuel? So see here, the thrust or forward push for unit mass of solid fuel burnt is less. Just now I told you, the specific impulse, that is the amount of fuel in kilograms burnt in 1 second, so that the quantity of thrust or forward push generated is more to take the rocket up. Whenever you burn the solid fuel, the disadvantage or negative is that, so this is negative, this is positive. Negative is the thrust or forward push for unit mass of solid fuel burnt is very less. Ante, what do you mean by that? You use more solid fuel and you burn entire solid fuel. Still, the rocket is able to go to just up to a particular mark or a particular height. Understand that very clearly. So this is how it is. So what is happening here? Okay, the thrust or forward push for unit mass of solid fuel, whatever it is burnt, is very less. So that's why solid fuel based rockets, that is SLV, ASLV, they are able to launch the satellite only into the low Earth orbit. Only into the low Earth orbit. Understand these things very, very clearly. Catch every point, okay, into your mind. See here, just now I told you, we have the SLV, right? We have the SLV. So SLV 4 stages, all the stages using the solid fuel. Then what is happening? SLV can go only into the low Earth orbit, that is maximum up to a height of around 800 km, and it is releasing the satellites there. That's it. Now after that, ASLV is manufactured by ISRO. ASLV is having 5 stages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the 5 stages using the solid fuel. Now what is happening? Just extra fuel is added. But still what is happening? The ASLV can go up to only the 1200 km height. That's it. But if you want to launch the satellites beyond that 1200 km from the Earth's surface, you need to go for the fuels that can generate the more thrust or forward push for unit mass of fuel that is burnt. So what happened? So they experimented. This is the ASLV. That means more fuel, one more extra fuel tank, somewhat greater height. Now what happened if you want to just make the, okay, if you just add few more stages, 6th stage, 7th stage, what will happen? Some 2,000 or 3,000 kilometer height. But if you want to place the 36,000 kilometer height communication satellite, how many stages you will add like this? Okay, is it possible to make a rocket like that? No. That's why the ISRO, they have shifted to the fuels that can generate maximum thrust or forward push per unit mass of fuel that is burned. So what they did? So they went for PSLV, where they used the solid fuel, liquid fuel, solid fuel, liquid fuel, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 in PSLV. So whenever they are using liquid fuels, they generate huge amount of thrust or forward push so that they go to greater heights. So PSLV maximum it can go and launch the satellites at 2000 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Still that is not enough. Then what happened? The ISRO has came out with cryogenic engines where they generate huge amount of thrust or forward push so that the launch vehicle or rocket will go to greater heights. It can go up to a height of 36,000 kilometers by taking the maximum weight of 5,000 kg into the geostationary Earth orbit. What? GSLV, the powerful rockets that India has. And it can place the satellites of up to 10,000 kg in the low Earth orbits. Understand that very clearly. So this is how it is. You have to link all the things and learn. Disadvantage is that solid fuel, the forward push for unit mass of solid fuel burnt is very, very less. Now what is the other disadvantage? So see here, the engines based on the solid fuel, the rocket engines or the launch vehicle engines based on the solid fuel cannot be switched on and off multiple times, which is needed to change the direction of the launch vehicle. What is the point here? The solid fuel based launch vehicles, okay, they cannot be switched on and off multiple times, okay, which is required. Why on and off of the rocket? Which is required to change the direction of the rocket or launch vehicle. So understand this very clearly. I will explain. Just third point, see here, disadvantage. The solid fuel and oxidizer are in the same chamber. So therefore, once the combustion is started, once the combustion of solid fuel is started, it cannot be stopped until the exhaustion of the total fuel. That means what? You have this particular PSLV solid stage. PSLV solid stage is there, liquid stage is there, solid and liquid. Once you ignite the solid stage, it comprises of this chamber comprises of solid fuel and also the oxidizer, right? So the problem with the solid stage of a rocket is once you start burning the fuel, it will continuously burn till the exhaustion of the total fuel, and you cannot off and on that particular burning of the fuel when it is solid fuel is used. Understand that very clearly. Simply to say, it is like this. See here, during Diwali, whenever you are using crackers to burn the crackers are solid fuels, right? Crackers utilize the solid fuel. Now imagine you ignite a cracker, a long cracker like this, okay, you call it with a name, I don't know that. So simply what will happen, once you ignite, simply it will burn till the entire crackers were burned. You cannot stop in the middle, right? Why? Because it is a solid fuel. Now take this particular liquid fuel based automobiles. You are using liquid fuel. Once you start the engine will ignite the fuel and it will just run the what you call engine. And after some time you can off the bike or car. Then again you can start. You can off, you can start. That is the facility or advantage with the liquid fuel that is absent in case of the solid fuel. Why this on and off is required? It is required to change the direction of the launch vehicle. So understand this very clearly. The engines that are based, the launch vehicle engines or the rocket engines, the launch vehicle engines or the rocket engines that are based on solid fuel cannot be switched on and off multiple times, which is needed to change the direction. So see here, this is the rocket. solid fuel based rocket, imagine this is the rocket, only one stage, solid fuel stage. Okay, only solid fuel is there. Once you ignite it, simply the rocket will go up till the entire solid fuel is over. The rocket will be going up, the rocket will be going up like this till the entire fuel is over, solid fuel. Now you cannot on and off it multiple times to change the direction. Now take same rocket, fill it with liquid fuel. You on the rocket, okay, so simply it is going up, so you can off it. So when you off this particular engine, what will happen? Because of the gravity of the earth, the rocket will fall down. Again you on it, simply it will go like this. Again you off it, again it will just fall because of the gravity of earth. Again you on it, it will just go like this. So it can change the direction, whereas changing of direction is not possible in case of the solid fuel based rockets. You cannot on and off the engine multiple times to change the direction. Understand this very clearly. Okay, the solid fuels, this is about the solid fuels. Then liquid fuels, the liquid fuels that are used, okay, by ISRO. Just now I told you where you use the liquid fuel. You use it in PSLV. PSLV is having solid liquid stage. So GSLV, in the GSLV you have the cryogenic liquid solid stage. So what are the liquid fuels that are used by ISRO? Unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine is the liquid fuel that is used by ISRO. Its formula is H2NNCH3, okay, 2. This is the formula of this particular, how you write this formula, H2, okay, double N, okay, then bracket CH3, okay, then 2. This is the unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine liquid fuel used in the PSLV and GSLV liquid stage by ISRO. What are the advantages? See here, per unit mass of liquid fuel burnt, it generates more thrust or forward push compared to solid fuel. Okay, understand this. You burn a unit mass of liquid fuel, it generates huge amount of forward push to take the launch vehicle up. Then the engines, the rocket or launch vehicle engines can be switched on and off multiple times. So see here, which is required. Why this on and off is required? Which is required to change the direction of this particular rocket or launch vehicle. That's why if you see, if you observe the trajectory of the launch vehicle, it will be like this. So how this direction is changed? Because of the utilization of the liquid fuel or liquid stages. If there is no liquid fuel, simply the rocket you ignite, it will go straight like this, and release the thing, satellite into the orbit. So the engine, the rocket engine can be switched on and off multiple times, which is required to change the direction of the rocket. Why to change the direction of the rocket? Why? Because you have different orbits. You have some satellites that can be placed in the low Earth orbit. You have satellites that can be placed in the middle Earth orbit. You have satellites that can be placed in the geostationary Earth orbit. You can place the satellites in sun synchronous polar orbits. For example, what is the sun synchronous? See here, this is Earth. Polar orbit means this is the polar orbit. Okay. Sun synchronous polar orbit means this is the Earth. This is the sun synchronous polar orbit. This is the sun synchronous polar orbit to place the satellite. So if you want to place the satellite in different orbits, you need to change the direction of the rocket. For that, liquid fuel is used. Then when unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine burns in the presence of nitrogen tetraoxide, that is the oxidizer, the exhaust velocity is 3.42 kilometers per second. Understand this very clearly. Very important point here. What he's saying is, whenever you burn the liquid fuel, unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine, in the presence of nitrogen tetraoxide, what is this? It is oxidizer. What is the use of oxidizer? Oxidizer is used to burn the fuel. Okay, the exhaust velocity is 3.42 kilometers per second. So that means what? So see here, liquid fuel based rocket, when you are burning them, the liquid fuel, it generates the exhaust velocity of 3.4 kilometers per second. Understand this. Now the same rockets, if they are using the solid fuel, the exhaust velocity is less than this. It is just 2.2 kilometers per second. Exhaust velocity of gases means what? The gases that are coming out of the rocket because of the burning of the fuel, their velocity that determines the forward push, and because of that the rocket will be going up. So that is less for solid fuel, more for liquid fuels. Solid fuels 2.2 kilometers per second, okay, and the liquid fuels 3.4 kilometers per second. The gases velocity, so more the gases velocity coming out, 3.4 kilometers per second speed, okay, the more forward push is generated, and because of which the launch vehicle will go to greater heights. So this is how it is. Understand these things very clearly. Now what are the disadvantages with the liquid fuel? Highly corrosive. Means what? Liquid fuels, if you just keep them in the open, okay, or simply you cannot keep them in the open. If you keep them in the open, they will corrosive. Understand that very clearly, okay. So understand that very clearly, and they are highly unstable and very difficult to handle. See here, very simple. Liquid petroleum or liquid diesel, can you keep them in the open? You cannot keep them in the open, right? That's why you keep the tank, okay, you keep the tank cover very tightly. Same thing, it is highly unstable. Means what? The tank having the liquid fuel will just shake like this, right? So it is highly unstable. Always it will just move, just it will shake or be unstable. So what will happen? Huge quantity of liquid fuel is used in the rocket. If it is just being unstable, the rocket will have unnecessary technical problems, and there is a problem of leakage. Okay, so it is very difficult to handle. You can store at a particular place, there are chances of leakage. For example, if you are using this particular liquid fuel in the for example, if PSLV is there, so see here, solid liquid. So in the top place you have the liquid fuel. There is a chance of leakage and the entire mission will fail. Liquid fuel, this is the problem. But there are more advantages. So what are the advantages? Per unit mass of liquid fuel is burnt, it generates more forward push. You can switch on and switch off the engines to change the direction. And unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine, when it is burning in presence of the nitrogen tetraoxide oxidizer, the more exhaust velocity is very high compared to the solid fuels. Understand that very clearly. Disadvantage: highly corrosive, highly unstable, difficult to handle. There is a problem of leakage, because of which the missions will fail. Now let us understand about the cryogenic engines. Very, very important. I hope you understood this. Where ISRO will use the cryogenic engine? In GSLV. So GSLV, 3-stage rocket, solid stage, first stage solid, second stage liquid, third stage cryogenic engine. So this cryogenic engine is used in the GSLV by ISRO. Third stage of the upper stage of the GSLV rocket, okay, consists of the cryogenic stage. Understand that very clearly. So what is GSLV? GSLV means geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. So satellite will be placed in geosynchronous orbits by the GSLV rocket. GSLV rocket comprises of 3 stages: solid stage, first stage, liquid fuel, second stage, cryogenic engine, third stage. So why cryogenic engine? Okay, why? So see here, just now I told you the solid fuel based rocket, liquid fuel based rocket, cryogenic engine. If you are using solid fuel, the escape velocity, that means the gases velocity coming out from the exhaust, okay, is just 2.2 kilometer per second. If you use the liquid fuel based rockets, the exhaust velocity of the gases coming from the rocket is 3.4 kilometers per second. whereas it is for the cryogenic engine, it is much more higher. It is much more higher. Okay, more than 10.2 kilometers per second exhaust velocity of gases will come when you use the cryogenic engine. So what is this particular cryogenic engine? First of all, what do you mean by this particular cryogenic? Cryogenic means application of lower temperatures, that is of less than minus 150 degrees centigrade. The word cryogenic means application of lower temperatures, that is less than minus 150 degrees centigrade. That is the meaning of the word cryogenic. Now see here, a cryogenic rocket stage is more efficient and provides more thrust for every kilogram of propellant it burns compared to the liquid and solid propellants. Understand that very clearly. A cryogenic rocket stage is more efficient and provides more thrust or forward push. That is, the specific impulse is very high in terms of seconds. Okay, for every kilogram of propellant it burns compared to solid and liquid propellant rockets or launch vehicles. Very simple. If you compare the forward push generated by the solid fuel based rocket, it is less compared to liquid fuel based rocket. And if you compare both the solid and liquid fuel based rocket forward push or thrust, when they burn the fuel, it is very less compared to the cryogenic engine based rockets. That is the meaning here. It is more efficient. Why? It provides more thrust for every kilogram of fuel that is burnt compared to rocket that is using solid and liquid fuels. Now see here, just understand this very clearly. Again, the specific impulse, it's a measure of efficiency achievable with the cryogenic propellants. Liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen is much higher compared to liquid and solid propellants, giving it a payload advantage. The same point, again same point. So understand this very clearly. What he is saying is that in the cryogenic engine, we will use liquid hydrogen, we will use liquid oxygen. So see here, liquid hydrogen is actually the fuel, liquid oxygen is actually the oxidizer. So this liquid oxygen is used to burn the fuel liquid hydrogen in the cryogenic engine. Why? Because specific impulse is higher for these fuels compared to liquid fuel, that is just now we have seen, okay, unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrogen, and the solid fuel, that is the aluminum powder mixed with, okay, what you call the polybutadiene, that one, okay, giving it a substantial payload advantage. Understand that very clearly. So ikkada confuse em avakandi. Cryogenic means application of low temperature. How much? Less than minus 150 degrees centigrade, that is called as cryogenic. Then cryogenic engines uses liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. Liquid hydrogen is acting like a fuel, liquid oxygen is acting like a oxidizer. Understand that. The liquid oxygen is as the oxidizer is used to burn the fuel, that is the liquid hydrogen. So understand this, you will understand just a few minutes, you will understand this. So see here, cryogenic engine is the engine that uses liquid hydrogen stored at minus 250 degrees centigrade and as a fuel, and liquid oxygen stored at minus 183 degrees Celsius, okay, as oxidizer. Understand this very clearly, okay. Liquid hydrogen, the fuel stored at minus 250 degrees centigrade. Liquid oxygen, the oxidizer stored at minus 183 degrees centigrade inside the cryogenic engine. Understand that very clearly. Why? Because these liquid hydrogen and oxygen, liquid oxygen as oxidizer, liquid hydrogen as fuel has more capacity to generate more thrust, so that the rocket will go to greater heights, take more weight satellites to greater heights. Understand that very clearly. Now see here, understand that much, okay, you will be. The advantage with the cryogenic engine is that it provides maximum thrust or the forward push to the rocket. What will happen with that maximum thrust? The rocket will go to greater heights and release the satellites in the greater heights, and the rocket can carry the satellites of more weight. For example, I will give the example. GSLV rocket is there, right? It is using cryogenic engine. It can take the satellites up to 10,000 kg weight satellite can be placed in low Earth orbit, and 5,000 kg satellite is placed in the geostationary Earth orbit. Very powerful launch vehicle. Why? Because it is using the cryogenic engine. Why cryogenic engine? Why? Because it is generating maximum thrust or forward push to the rocket or launch vehicle. So see here, the significance of the cryogenic technology for India is that it is vital for India's GSLV program. Why? In the absence of GSLV, ISRO cannot launch any satellite weighing more than 2 tons or 2000 kg. Understand that. The PSLV has a limitation. It cannot take the satellite of more than 2000 kg. Why? Because it is not having the cryogenic engine. If you use the cryogenic engine, you can take the satellites more than 2000 kg. That means up to 10,000 kg. Understand that very clearly, okay? So next, how India got this cryogenic technology? In 1993, Russia provided India with 7 cryogenic engines. Understand this very clearly. And these engines are used in some space missions by ISRO. Some of them were successful, some of them were not. 1993, Russia, because of the disintegration of Soviet Union in 1990s, they have begun to sell the technologies, whatever they have, at low cost to other countries. So Russia, being a friendly country to the India, and India approached Russia to give the cryogenic technology, so that we will learn to develop the rockets that can place the satellites of greater weight into the greater orbits. So we got 7 cryogenic engines. Our scientists keep them. They did the reverse engineering. They did a lot of experiments. They understood how it will work, and they developed our own version of the cryogenic engine. Understand this very clearly. On the basis of the experiences of launches of these cryogenic engines, the GSLV 8th launch was perfect. The 8th launch was performed on 4th January 2014 when GSLV D5 development 5, okay, having indigenous cryogenic engine, placed GSAT 14 weighing 1982 kg in geostationary Earth orbit, 36,000 km from the Earth's surface. So understand this very clearly. First of all, the indigenous cryogenic engine was used in GSLV D5 to place the GSAT 14 in geostationary Earth orbit. Remember this fact for exam. Then after this, so see here, some facts are there. The facts are there. Let us understand these facts related to the cryogenic engine. What are the facts? 1993, we took the cryogenic engine from Russia. How many Russia gave? 7. We are doing the experiments. Some of them were successful in the launches, some of them were failure. But ultimately, our Indian scientists, they are learning from these failures. Understand this very clearly, okay? So finally, what happened on the experiences of the launches, cryogenic engine launches of cryogenic engine, GSLV 8th launch was a perfect successful mission. So as part of GSLV 8th launch performed on 4th January 2014 on GSLV D5 rocket using indigenous cryogenic engine, it has placed the GSAT 14 communication satellite of 1982 kg in the orbit, geostationary Earth orbit. Understand this very clearly, okay? So let us understand some of the facts. The specific impulse of cryogenic engine is of the order of 450 seconds. Just now I told you, no? So rockets that are using solid fuels and liquid fuels, the specific impulse is around 300 seconds. The rockets that are using the cryogenic engine, the specific impulse is 450 seconds. I told you. For every 1 second improvement in the specific impulse value, the rocket can take extra additional 50 kgs with it. That also I told you in the previous slides. The specific, see here, the same thing, compare here. The specific impulse of solid and liquid fuel is 300 seconds only. With every 1 second increase, I told you, no, the payload gain is 15 kgs. That means more specific impulse, more kg of weight you can take. Okay. Now, India is the 6th country in the world to have the cryogenic engine technology. Remember this for the different exams. Already the countries of USA, Russia, China, Japan, France, and from 2014, India has its own cryogenic engine technology. Okay. No doubt we have taken the engines, 7 engines from the cryogenic engines from the Russia. But we are not confined to them. We studied them. We understood them, how they are working. We have developed our own version of cryogenic engine, and we have our own version of cryogenic engine right now. Understand that very clearly. So 6 countries are having the cryogenic engines, and which is the first country in the world to develop the cryogenic engine technology? It is United States of America. United States of America, first country in the world to develop the cryogenic engines. Why? They know that to launch the communication satellites, okay, cryogenic engines are required. That's why they developed them. Understand that very clearly. USA is the first country in the world. Okay, and which country has given the cryogenic technology to India? It is Russia. It is Russia. USA denied to give the cryogenic engine technology to the what you call the India, but Russia has accepted the proposal of India and gave the technology to the India. In fact, not only this, the nuclear submarines were given, okay, the technology is given by the Russia to India. Not only that, the nuclear reactors, okay, that the technology is given by the Russia to India. Right now, India nuclear reactors, majority of them were based on the Russian, okay, technology and expertise. So Russia is a very good friend of India. There is no doubt about that. So let us understand some of the facts regarding the cryogenic engines. Just simple facts. So see here, this is related to India, and the next slide is related to the world. The GSLV Mk1 Mark 1 used the Soviet cryogenic engine for the 3rd stage. Its first flight was in April 2021. First time in GSLV Mark 1 Mk1, the India has used in 2001 year the what you call solid stage, liquid stage cryogenic engine. So this engine, cryogenic engine, belongs to Russia. Why? Because we take some engines from Russia, right? Cryogenic engines. That is how it is. Then GSLV Mk2 used the indigenous cryogenic engine 7.5 version. Cryogenic engine 7.5 version based on Russian technology. First time in 2010 in GSLV D3, it failed to achieve its objective. Then GSLV Mk3, GSLV Mk2, where in the 3rd stage solid liquid cryogenic engine version 7.5 is used. It is based on Russian technology. That means it is working exactly like Russian engine, cryogenic engine. So what happened? This is launched in the year 2010 and it is also failure. Okay. First time is successful, but that engine is not Indian cryogenic engine. It is the Russian cryogenic engine. Same engine we have assembled it and sent it. That is not the success, right? Then what happened? In the 2010, we have used the GSLV Mk2 with Russian technology based cryogenic engine. That means it is indigenous only, but the technology is Russian. And the outer part is designed by the what you call the Indian scientists, but inside whatever the technology is there, that is the Russian technology. For example, you take the Maruti car, Maruti Suzuki collaboration. The outer part of the Maruti car, whether it is Swift Desire or whatever it may be, Ertiga, something, Alto, outer part is manufactured in India by Indian in the Indian factories. But inside that engine, the K4 engine of the Maruti car, it is supplied directly from the Suzuki Corporation of Japan. So that is how it is. Same thing here. The cryogenic engine 7.5 is manufactured by the Indian scientists, but inside that heart of the cryogenic engine, the main technology is Russian. Used in 2010, it also failed. Used in 2010 and it also failed. Then what happened? GSLV Mk3 used the cryogenic engine 20. This is totally Indian technology. Okay, the cryogenic engine, and it is first time used in the June 5, 2014 successfully. From 2014, India became the country, one of the country having cryogenic engine technology. Why? Because 2000 in GSLV Mark 3 we used cryogenic engine 20 version 20, which is totally Indian technology. Understand that very clearly. So see here, when we took the cryogenic engines from Russia, 1993. When it is successful, 2014. How many years? Almost 20 years of time period is required only to develop the indigenous cryogenic technology. So understand how much complex it is. Only one engine, cryogenic engine, 20 years of time. All the scientists, space scientists and entire ISRO teams. So that is the complexity of the cryogenic technology. So understand this very clearly. So see here, what is happening in the cryogenic engine? When hydrogen burns in the presence of oxygen, the exhaust velocity is 4.55 kilometers per second. The problem is that as a gas, hydrogen is more difficult to utilize. Definitely hydrogen is the best fuel we have with the generation of a more exhaust velocity when it is burning per second, 4.55 kilometers per second. But the thing is that hydrogen as a gas is difficult to handle. It is difficult to handle this particular hydrogen as a gas. So what is the solution? Convert it into the liquid. So that's why in the cryogenic engine, hydrogen as a fuel is converted into the liquid hydrogen. Understand that very clearly. So see here, so what we are doing, we are converting the entire hydrogen into the gaseous hydrogen into the liquid hydrogen at minus 253 degrees centigrade. The hydrogen will convert from gas into the liquid stage. That's why minus 250. Understand that very clearly. But to burn this liquid hydrogen, you require again oxidizer. What is that? Liquid oxygen, minus 183 degrees centigrade. At minus 183 degrees centigrade, the oxygen gas turns into the liquid oxygen. So understand this. And what is the advantage? As a liquid, both of these fuels can be compressed and they can be stored in small area. But if they are in the gaseous form, you require a huge quantity of material or a huge area to store them. That is also advantage. So see here, last 2 minutes, so it will be over. The United States is the first country to develop the cryogenic engines. Then United States used it to send the humans to the moon in the Saturn IV rocket. Now also United States is using the cryogenic engine in Atlas rockets. Then Japan developed their own cryogenic engine in 1977. French developed their own cryogenic engine in 1979. Chinese developed their own cryogenic engine in 1984. The Soviet Union, which is the first country to put a satellite into the space, Sputnik 1, on October 5th, 1957, Soviet Union put the first satellite in the what you call the Sputnik 1. But the Soviet Union has developed the cryogenic engine very late, that is in 1987. The same cryogenic engines were given to India in 1993, and India developed its own cryogenic engine in the year 2014 successfully. Now only 6 countries are having the cryogenic engines. So this is how we conclude here the cryogenic engines. So thank you very much. Thank you for your support. Watch this particular video, and all the science and technology topics for group 1 will be of this standard only, and we will not compromise on the standards. Why? Because once science and technology is done, 50 marks, it is done, okay, forever. That is how it is. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Okay, thank you very much.